I honestly have no words for how crazy this documentary is. I've never seen a documentary showcase someone doing all these crimes and they're still not in jail. Like it's crazy. For those who don't know, the documentary is currently out on YouTube under the YouTuber Mike Klum, who's been documenting his life for the past 2 years, I believe, and it officially finally came out in 2026. And holy crap, what a freaking documentary. It's I'm not really gonna show the whole documentary because there are obviously it's a lot of cursing in it because of EDP, so I really don't want to do all the editing, but I am gonna be picking certain areas of said documentary to kind of talk about and react to when I first watched this documentary, because some of these parts are actually insane. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the Rizzo channel because it really does help me out. And without further ado, let's talk about it. All right, so part one of this documentary actually showcases his bringing up, his childhood, on how he pretty much grew up. He grew up in, I believe it said LA, where he was watching the Eagles game, you know, just chilling, you know, just going to school, going to high school, doing all that. And apparently he was really interested in wrestling. So, and a lot of times in wrestling, you need good guys and bad guys, and he mostly honed in onto the bad guys, and that kind of what sparked him to kind of be like the bad guy of the world, if you want to put it that way. But I just it's kind of funny how this documentary portrays him, because literally like anything that he wears is just Eagles fan, and just he kind of honed in on the fact that when he was a baby, he watched an Eagles game as a baby and then automatically fell in love with them. Hello, editor Rigo here. As I was editing this video, I realized that I messed up that fact. So when he was older and started and watched his first football game, that at that time, that's when he chose, because he really liked how the Eagles logo just looked really, really mad. So that's why he chose. It's not because it was a bit, nah, I got that wrong. He just liked it because the logo just looked mad. Another thing he also talked about was watching WWE with his sister every night on Monday, and he just really honed in on being like the villain of the WWE wrestlers, and that's what kind of, you know, he just loved the villains of the WWE arena, or whatever you want to call it. So all right, back to the video. The one thing I pointed out, the one thing I want to talk about this documentary is that there is actually 3 YouTubers who decided to catch EDP. The two that we actually do know about is actually Alex Rosen and Gideon, but apparently there was another guy by the name of Cold Raven who actually tried to catch him first in the act of talking to minors. Apparently he like dug deep into his follow history and found out that he was following a lot of 13, 14, 15-year-old girls, and then you know, messaging them on Instagram. That's what I was looking for, on Instagram.
I show dead proof evidence.
So what is this, man? Come on, ED Pedo 445. I thought you said you're not a pedo, right?
Of him texting 2 to 3 girls, cute, calling them sexy. More girls started coming out and started texting me like, hey, he was also texting me this inappropriate stuff. So I looked at his followers list, right? He had around 300 to 400 accounts he was following. The problem with that is around 120 to 130 of these accounts, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds.
And it really showcases that he was doing this since he was young. Like it's honestly crazy to think that someone that's like 18, 19 is following girls when they're 13, 14, and 15. Like, it's honestly sucks, like, because it looks like he grew up like a normal kid, but then all of a sudden does this. Like, it's really interesting how all this just stems from him talking to minors. It really does suck. It really does. Now, one thing I also thought that was really funny about this documentary was the fact that later in the documentary, around like 30 minutes or so, they actually bring in Chris Hansen to talk one-on-one with EDP. Like, the Chris Hansen, they brought him out for this documentary to just have a conversation with EDP, and this is pretty much how it went.
This 32-year-old guy wants to spend a Sunday afternoon chilling with a 13-year-old girl.
Why don't you have a seat right over there? Brian, have a seat. Why did you show up that day? Why did you go to that location? What did you think was going to happen?
I showed up to that location that day, trying to, obviously meet up with an underage girl. You know what I mean? And I guess you can say, trying.
And the funny part about literally only the beginning of this interview, he says, I was trying to meet up with the girl, you know what I mean? What do you mean by you know what I mean? Like, you don't say that after saying, like, why were you trying to be there? Oh, I was just trying to meet up with a 13 girl, you know what I mean? Like, no, we don't know what you mean, buddy. We don't. None of us are pedophiles like you, bro.
I guess you can say, trying to have sex. I don't know. I mean, whatever.
You trying to have sex with a 13-year-old girl?
For the most part, yep. People have a tendency of doing this, I feel like, because they enjoy the innocence and having control of somebody, you know?
Sounds like that's what you wanted to do.
Right.
Nobody your age you could have hung out with.
No.
No women your age you could date. You had to pick on a 13-year-old girl.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my God, babe, it's a playful spank, you say. When I spank you, it's supposed to be sexy, LOL. If anything, I just bend you over and kiss your ass. Yes, well, maybe, but only if you're a good girl. What are you trying to do here with this?
What do you think I'm trying to do?
Well, it sounds like you're trying to sexually assault a 13-year-old girl.
If that's what it looks like, I guess that's what it is then. I mean,
Handcuff you. Throw you in the back of my car and bring you back to my dungeon, LOL. You talk about climbing through a window.
Mm-hmm.
You're so hot and cute and even had me jerking off. Were you masturbating when you were talking to her?
Mm-hmm.
You sent her pictures?
Yeah.
You sent her pictures of your penis?
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Right, I know.
It's illegal.
Why is EDP so nonchalant talking about this, man? That's how bad he is. He's literally telling his experience going to this meet and being so nonchalant about it. Who says all this stuff being so nonchalant? Like, this guy literally has no morals. He honestly did not care. As you can see, he even choked the chicken to photos of her and sent it to her, which is honestly disgusting. It's funny how, like, I'm surprised that this documentary hasn't reached like any type of police force or anything like that too, because he's necessarily like admitting to the crimes that he did of soliciting images to a minor. Like, is that not jail worthy to already put him in there after the, like, what? Huh?
Had Alex Rosen not botched this, you might be in prison right now.
Thank God he didn't.
Well, you could look at it two ways. Maybe prison is where you belong because of this.
If it was where I belong, I'd be in shackles right now, so.
But I have to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Had this been me doing an investigation, your EDP 445 ass would be in prison now.
Just where it began.
EDP is clearly in trouble here. What he did was wrong.
That was pretty much the little interview that they had showed in the Chris Hansen and EDP part. Honestly, yeah. I mean, if Alex Rosen didn't butcher it, he actually would have been in prison right now. But unfortunately, since he did butcher it, he's not. He's just a free man walking. I want to talk about the part of Gideon and Kayla. Apparently, Kayla was actually one of the victims of EDP 445. And they were talking, and Gideon got wind of it and wanted to take over because he didn't. I've seen his response video before making this video, just so I could get the full context of this documentary, because a lot of, like, let's say, accusations was thrown out during this documentary of saying that she was not only EDP's victim, but she was also Gideon's victim because he allegedly told her to keep talking to her and to, like, not, like, check up on her or anything. But on Gideon's side, he did say that he did want to take over conversation, that way she doesn't have to anymore. I guess she insisted on doing it. So obviously, like, in this documentary, a lot of things were shown out. Gideon did come out with a video explaining his side of the things. If you want to go watch that video, go watch it. He explains everything that happened. I just kind of want to talk about it because I think it's kind of wrong to put out all these accusations when not only Gideon is also in this documentary, but for someone that we necessarily don't really know about and we can't necessarily trust her, especially with like but in Gideon's case, since he has such a big following, he's been on the internet for so long, he's a little bit more trustworthy because of the things he's done, such as like his pred catches, like stuff like that. But when it comes to like hearing her out, like it's not wrong to hear her out, but she necessarily didn't really give any sort of clear evidence on him actually saying not to do the stuff or whatever her or all the accusations she put out. We just kind of have to take her word for it, I guess. But since we don't know her, we can't necessarily take her word for it.
It's an embarrassing clown show. He says the same thing over and over again. The way this investigation, it's not really an investigation, but the way this was conducted makes it unprosecutable. And you've got Skeeter or Skeet or whatever his name is, who's clowning around, taking my lines, I suppose, and murdering them with a guy in a cupcake outfit. There's no serious attitude here. It's a clown show. And it resulted in nothing.
I think there possibly maybe could have been different results in this case if me and Gideon did not confront EDP or take the situation into our hands at all. That's a hard maybe though, and that way obviously there's no content there, so it's like
And for those who don't know, as you can see, Skeeter is actually one of the most viewed predator catching YouTubers on YouTube's platform. And he actually wanted to collab with what's his name, Chris Hansen, to do a pred catch, but he didn't really want to do it because he's obviously, like, in Chris's eyes, he's not doing it for clicks and views, so he declined it. But this is pretty much like what they had to say about each other, so I'm gonna play that right now.
What is your opinion on Skeeter Gene?
I don't know Skeeter Gene. He reached out to me some time ago to collaborate, and it's not something I would ever do.
Why not?
Because I don't need to. I mean, I don't need to create a clown show with somebody who is merely seeking to get fame and clicks and views on YouTube. I have my own team, my own way of doing things, and it produces justice. The rest of these clowns, they're out there goofing around.
Yeah, it did definitely change my opinion on him a bit because I think he was a bit hypocritical with a statement that he made. He said that I was just doing this for clicks, views, and ad revenue, basically. I mean, are you telling me that P's not doing it for the same reasons? I would really like to ask Chris Hansen that if he weren't being paid for his work, would he still do it?
As you can see, they're not. I don't think they're really on good terms. Chris Hansen obviously doesn't need to really collab with him. He has enough exposure to his name to kind of not really have to do that. But a lot of times when it comes to doing like predator catches, a lot of them do it for clicks and views, which does bring the predator catching community kind of down because that's all they're doing it for, especially those who like start hitting them and stuff like that instead of actually catching them. But at least we have like Gideon who specifically now is just predator catching. He wants to continue that story. And also Skeeter Gene, who's also, as you can see, one of the most viewed, but he's still doing his due diligence in catching online predators. All right, so now it talks about all of EDP's friends. Most from the documentary, almost all of them have blocked him except for one of them, which is probably like his best friend from like high school or middle school or something like that. His name is Jenny, and this is actually not Jenny, Jimmy. This is actually the guy from the documentary that said that EDP was innocent, and I don't know what this guy is on, but he needs to be tested for something, because I have no idea why you think EDP is innocent whatsoever. I think you should also be checked. Your hard drive should also be checked. I'm not gonna lie, because how can you sit there and say that EDP is innocent when he's been caught, quote unquote, caught 3 times by 3 different guys on sexting a minor and sending genital photos to this minor? Like, how can you sit there and say that? Like, I don't understand your logic, honestly. I really don't. Now, this part, I think this is honestly probably one of the funniest. EDP makes his own B-word list, talking about all the people he thinks that are B-words and that all suck, because I guess because since they talked about him and talked bad about him, that's why. And I just kind of want to preference that it's a lot of the YouTube, it's mostly all commentary style YouTubers who's their job to kind of report on the situation, such as Charlie, Mudahar, Leafy. I know he even throws some dirt at Actual Speed, saying that he always thought he was kind of a B word. I actually think this part's really kind of funny, because like he didn't like this documentary didn't need to show this. It doesn't. You know, this is more like a YouTube video type of area he should have done. Obviously, he can't really do YouTube anymore, but this is made to be on a YouTube video instead of a documentary. But nonetheless, he did that, and he even did a tier list showing off his it's kind of hard to say, but he made a tier list, or he did the same thing where he showed off all of his favorite pictures of his fecal matter. It's really nasty. I'm not going to show that part of this documentary, but they did add in an area where he rated his dumps. It's really nasty. I don't know why. I was so disgusted that I literally skipped over this part, because I did not want to see that. Even talking about it gets me queasy, man. So I'm just gonna move on from that. Now, the biggest thing about this is that this guy, everyone knows EDP, right? Apparently, he got himself a girlfriend. Oh, is that so cute? He got himself a girlfriend. Her name is Marissa, EDP's girlfriend. But the funny thing is, like, in this documentary, he literally says that the things that he loves about her is that he likes her, how she smiles, how she's, you know, very nice and all that. Watch, I'm gonna show that right now.
She's always there for me, and she's always trying to push me to get better. Sometimes when I don't see the potential in myself, she's always there seeing it. That's something that I really enjoy about her.
So how was the sex?
I think, how do I want to say that? It is something that definitely, it's a situation where, not that we don't want.
And this is the funny part. He actually broke up with Marissa due to the fact that she's, in his words, effing annoying.
I decided to break up with Marissa simply because she just irritates the f out of me, man. Like, there are just some things, man, where I'm just like, Marissa was very annoying, irritating as annoying as and there's just certain shit that actually did just bother me. You know what I mean? I'd rather be on my own, beat my shit, around, watch porn, call it a day, you know?
As you can see, EDP is just not that good of a guy all around. Even like finally found someone who actually likes him for who he is and just decides to just leave him. He's just honestly a loser at the end of the day. Like, there's nothing they can really do about it. He's done a lot of stupid stuff in his life, and it sucks because he unfortunately does need to take dialysis to keep himself alive, and if he misses a treatment, his chance of perishing goes up a lot more. So he's just in a state of life where it's very hard for him to kind of live, honestly. And it's honestly kind of sad. It's honestly kind of sad. I ain't gonna lie. It is a little sad. He has to take pills. He has to go dialysis, and it just sucks. But that is pretty much the documentary. If you want to go watch it yourself to really deep dive into everything that's been going on with EDP. Or if you didn't even know about EDP, go watch the documentary. It really does showcase everything. You haven't done so already, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Rick Zero channel, because it really does help me out. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.